Eddie Howe has responded to Alexander Isak's statement whilst the striker search continues. Yes, people, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV. Before we get stuck in Eddie Howe's press conference, the transfer news, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're just about to hit 47,000 subscribers, so big thank you to every single one of you lot. And like this video while you're here if you do enjoy it, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Eddie Howe has said this on Isak, who, surprise, surprise, is not playing against Liverpool on Monday night. So there we go. We now have confirmation of that inevitability that once again, he's not going to be playing. He's refusing to play. And then he's actually asked in the presser as well about that. Has he been fined? What is the fine? And he said it's being dealt with by other people. So, of course he's being fined because he's refusing to do his job. Other reports have said it's a club record fine for Isak, and it's deservedly so. You know, Monday night, got an striker, but he's refusing to put on his boots and perform in front of 52,000 fans and a few thousand Scousers, who he wants to actually perform in front of. So, yeah, what a nightmare that situation is. But never mind all that. We knew he wasn't going to be playing. But he said on Isak's statement that it was a sad moment. My preference is for these things to not happen publicly. They are better dealt with behind closed doors. Needs must, though, in relation to Newcastle United releasing a statement firing back at him. That was a needs must. The club has spoken, and justifiably so, in that moment. He's contracted to us. He's our player. My wish is that he would be playing on Monday, but he won't be, and that's regrettable. 100% I want him back in a Newcastle shirt. Loads more he talked about too, which we can touch on in a bit. But on that first subject there, again, badly advised. Who on earth, obviously he's the agent, or Isak himself, had a few drinks and thought, I'm going to put this out on my story when I should be at the PFA Awards celebrating being in the team of the year. Thought it was a good idea, man, really. When he was typing that, or his agent said we should do this. Stop listening to that agent, please. Why hasn't he been sacked yet? I guess he might after the transfer window closes if he doesn't get his dream move to Liverpool. But honestly, man, adding fuel to the fire, that statement was a ridiculous idea. It was never going to help. As Eddie Howe has said, those things should be dealt with at the training ground, at the club, behind the scenes. Don't go and put it out to fucking Instagram and the world to see, you nutter. So yeah, that was a shame. Eddie Howe said he was sad at that. But again, like we said in the live stream the other night, that it was good that the club did respond swiftly. They had to, and I thought it was a very good statement. Eddie Howe said that as well. It was justable. And yeah, he wishes he was playing on Monday, but he won't be. And he wants to see him back in a Newcastle shirt. So there's loads to pick through even just in that little bit. But again, it's kind of what he was saying last week about, you know, he's contracted with us, I want him to play, but at the minute, he doesn't want to play. You know, he's refusing to play, and he won't be playing until after the transfer window closes, and who knows just yet where that will be, because everything's still possible at this point. Even with, 10 days left of the window, he could remain at Newcastle. That's looking ever likely now, but he could also go next week. Once the game's played on Monday night, Liverpool on Tuesday could whack in a 130 million bid. It might tempt Newcastle just to cut ties. It really might. And then we've got, a dramatic 6-7 days to try and find his replacement in the window, which we'll get into that in a minute of who Newcastle are looking at striker-wise right this minute. Eddie Howe said he's having chaotic days at the minute. You know, it's a mad old time to be a Newcastle manager with everything that is going around, and that then were his words that he said it's a chaotic day-to-day for him. He's being dragged left, right and centre where he's just trying to concentrate on coaching. So again, how good is that of Eddie Howe and how well he's dealt with this situation? He did look a little bit more stressed this week than last week, I must say. You know, last week he was having a bit of laugh with the journos, cracking a few jokes, seemed in better spirits. Today he just seemed a bit pissed off, and towards the end of the press conference it actually did get a bit cagey when Lee Ryder from the Chronicle was asking questions and he tried to ask another one, and then Lee Marshall, head of media, had to step in and say, no Lee, your time's up. And it was just a bit of a weird atmosphere towards the end of that press conference, to be fair, when he was asking about, did Isak lie to you? Did he say that he wanted to leave then? Has he been requesting to leave? And Eddie Howe said, we've had conversations at the end of the season between me and Alex, and I understand where he wants to take his career along those lines, you know. And he was asked again then by Ryder, he pushed him on it, so did he ask to leave? Eddie Howe wouldn't come out and say officially that he has to leave. He just said, we had conversations, we had discussions. So obviously he has to leave. You know, I think it's widely reported now after the Everton game, he confirmed that once again he wanted to leave in the summer. So there's that as well. And like I said, it was a bit of a feisty old end to the press conference. So it looks like Anthony Gordon's going to play up front on the weekend. Eddie on Monday, should I say. Eddie Howe said, he's done that job really well in the team. I've got no issue with him playing there. I do, to be honest. And he'll probably score on Monday against his boyhood club Liverpool, and I obviously really hope he does. But it's just it's a bitter pill to swallow that we're here on Friday morning as we speak now, or Friday lunchtime now, that we haven't got a striker in. Obviously, we've tried with Wissa this week, another bid rejected. I thought after the Villa game last Saturday, glaringly obvious we would have won that game with a striker. We would have went all out from Saturday night. And maybe we are behind the scenes and just once again things aren't working out, things aren't happening for us to get a player in. But that should have been done by now. Newcastle really should have had a striker in for this Monday game. What we're going to do, play fucking Jacob Ramsey's a 9 as well next week. I mean, come on. We should have had a striker in. To go to this game, a big game like this, good job the atmosphere is going to be electric. Eddie Howe said that, it's going to be bouncing, it's going to be rocking, it's going to feel like a bloody derby, I think. But we should have had a striker then if we did on Monday night. Hey, who knows, we might still do it Friday, we can get to it on the weekend, hopefully get Wissa in a black and white shirt early doors on Monday. Wouldn't be much time for him since he hasn't had a great deal of pre-season either, or anybody at this point, fucking hell. We'll talk about Nicolas Jackson in a minute. I've said no to Jackson, no, give us Tito Jackson instead, but at this point, it's him or Rasula, it's him or Gordon, so I get Nicolas Jackson the day and play him against Liverpool. Why not? So my head's been turned. Desperation. And this is what's happening with Newcastle behind the scenes, and with me and maybe with other fans. I've seen it online. Suggestion we should get Hoyland, we should get Jackson. These flop of a strikers, but that's how desperate we are. Back on what Eddie Howe was saying in the press conference about Alexander Isak, and could he reignite his relationship with the Newcastle United fan base? Yes, I believe they can. Fans will always react to a player that is giving their all in the shirt. There's two sides to a story. My job is to support him and care for him. We will see where we are in a week's time. I hope we can work with him again and get him back to his best. I'm disappointed that these things are being made public, as we've said, but we're reflecting on it and we're trying to deal with it. He also said later on that Alex is actually a great character, apart from this unfortunate couple of months. And as I said, when I've met Isak before, I'm so surprised at the way he's behaved, because I would never anticipate that from his character and his personality. So whatever's happened over the summer, how much his agents turned his head or whatever, it's obviously massively impacted his behaviour, because Eddie Howe's saying he's been a perfect professional all the way up until this point. The way he lives his life, the way he trains, the way he behaves, the way he interacts with everyone. And that's what really dumbfounded me. Honestly, anybody, all the players that I've met and spoke to, especially on that cup final night, he would be right up there with one of them that I would least expect to do this. I still have moments when I'm listening to the Eddie Howe press conference, he's getting asked these questions and he's delivering the answers on Isak. I'm still having little bits where I'm hey, this is actually happening. Isak is refusing to play for Newcastle, as if it hasn't been going on for months. But just moments of realisation where I'm holy shit, man, how has it got to this? Why is he refusing to play? How's it got this bad? We'll get you once he's moved, but for him to go on like this, it's just mental. And Eddie Howe was asked about has he been ill-advised, and he said, I'm not going to speak on that. That's not for me to say. That's for Isak to say, which he will say if he ends up staying, because that's the only way back. He will issue an apology, maybe sack his agent and say, went about things the wrong way, I apologise. And let us know for yous. Yous are the fans watching as well as me as a fan. Yous let me know what yous think. Do you think Isak can build a relationship once again with the Geordie faithful, or is it too far gone for you? For me, I'll be honest, I think we might forgive a little bit if he comes back in the team and starts scoring goals. Personally, I won't massively forgive. Obviously, if he scores his goals and does his job again, be nice, getting paid 140 grand a week for it. Then there is an element where obviously he's wearing the Newcastle badge now. He might not want to wear it. He said he doesn't want to, so he wants to leave. So there's always that part in the back of my head where I'm I won't forget, but I'm not wanting to hold grudges and stuff. We'll forgive a little bit, but it'll never be the same, and I definitely won't forget, because that what he's wanted to do over the summer and the way he's went about it. But once he's playing for Newcastle again, once we need him, because at the minute we haven't got another striker, if he plays and he scores, I'm going to be more cheering for Newcastle United, not Alexander Isak. But at the same time, if he's the one doing it, then there's that element as well. If he stays, I don't know, it's a hypothetical question at the minute, but Eddie Howe's saying there that, the fans, there is a way back for this relationship between Newcastle United fans and Alexander Isak. But I think Eddie handled it really well, as per usual, saying, he's a good character, maybe just this situation hasn't obviously went well, but it's not the usual for Alex to be like this. He still said he speaks to him now and again at the training ground when they're passing the corridor, even though he said he hadn't seen him for a few days. He says he does still speak to him and it's normal. He says we'll see where we are after the transfer window closes, but I hope I can work with him again and get him back to his best. And like I said, he did kind of stick up for Isak throughout the whole thing. He didn't throw him under the bus. Like I said in the title there, betrayed. It's because he feels betrayed, probably because of the statement being released publicly, and that things couldn't just be handled behind closed doors privately, and the whole saga this summer. That's definitely a betrayal there. But, you know, he's still sticking up for Alex because he's still thinking, well, in a week's time or so when the window closes, hopefully I can work with him again and I'm going to need him on my side. So he's not going to dig him out and throw him under the bus now because that just wouldn't help anyone, and I don't think that's in Eddie Howe's personality. But he did say if Alex was to play for Newcastle again, he has to be totally committed. It can't work any other way. Any player who steps on the pitch as a Newcastle United player, they have to give their all for the club. Well, he's contracted, he's our player, and I want him back. So, yeah, think that's enough on Isak. Let us know your thoughts on what Eddie Howe has said this morning on the Swedish strike. Guys also bigged up what he's seen of Jacob Ramsey, the new signing in training this week, and he will be available for selection, unlike Isak, on Monday night against Liverpool. Some breaking transfer news before we get stuck into that striker search is that Matt Targett is in talks with Middlesbrough over joining them on a season-long loan. According to Graham Bailey, a deal is close to being finalised. So there we go. Here we go for Targett at Borough, staying in the North East and getting himself to the Championship. I'm sure Targett's contract finally runs out next season. I mean, bloody hell, he's been barely playing for years now, hasn't he? Due to one reason or another. But Newcastle looks set to let him go. I wonder what the wage structure on that one is, how much Borough are paying of the supposed £100,000 a week, maybe a 50-50 split. Either way, it helps Newcastle because Targett's not going to get many minutes, even with all the extra European games. He's clearly not in our plans, even though he scored in pre-season. So there we go, Targett on the way out. But who cares about outgoings? You know, we want to focus on incomings. And Eddie Howe was asked, we're working tirelessly behind the scenes to bring incomings to the club. Well, where is Wissaden? Still negotiating with Brentford on that fee. Still hope that there could be an agreement reached for an extra few million, maybe an extra few million on top of that with add-ons and everything. His Spurs are also in the hunt for him after losing out on Eze. So there's been no real developments on that in the past 24 hours since yesterday morning's video, but there has been developments on Nicolas Jackson. As I mentioned in the video earlier, desperate times now. I'm even starting to come around to the idea because I just want a bloody striker. How can Newcastle United, so famous for its number 9s, be playing Liverpool on Monday night without one? Well, because one's fucking not turning up to work, really, answering your own question there. But yeah, crazy stuff. But with Jackson, I'm like, well, Eddie, how am I going to tune out of him? You know, Premier League, his goal scoring record's not that bad. Listen, I'm still not fully in favour of it. I would much rather have other targets, your Gonzalo Ramos, your Samus, Strand and Larsen even, talk about him in a minute. But Jackson is linked to Newcastle. Newcastle, according to Fabrizio Romano, are in talks to sign the Chelsea forward on loan with an obligation to buy. But so are Aston Villa and Bayern Munich. But focused on the Premier League sides, Villa, under Unai Emery, had Jackson at Villarreal, and he wants to be reignited with the forward. And again, that club down there in the Midlands is looking at the same sort of deal as up here in the Toon, where it's a loan with an obligation to buy. That would really suit FFP and PSR as well. So that's where I'm starting to think I could see Newcastle going down that avenue. I mean, they clearly are. They're in talks according to Romano, but I think they might look at that and think, if we can get Wisser in, if we can get Jackson in on loan, kind of covers the problem for a little bit, and we'll revisit it in 6 to 12 months, depending on how he gets on. You know, it's not the worst short-term outcome. I mean, I prefer Wisser. I'm still talking as if we're going to get Wisser or someone else more experienced better. But with Jackson there, you know, Eddie Howe could get a player out of him. Listen, he's done it with everyone else that he's ever coached, you know, improved them. So no doubt there could be a decent player there. I just don't think he's a great player. I don't think he's anywhere near Isak's level, but I guess not many are, considering that's why Liverpool want him and the price tag is so big. But Jackson on loan, it's a bit of a risk-free, isn't it? You know, on loan, not much of a gamble there. If it doesn't work out in the 6 to 12 months, then you send him back to Chelsea. You know, as long as there's no obligation to buy, as long as it's just an option, then I'm absolutely fine with that, to be honest, because with the 9 to 10 days left of the window, we are getting desperate, as I've said many times throughout this video in itself. So yeah, let us know, would you take Jackson on loan? That's the rumour late last night from Fabrizio. And obviously there's talks of Jørgen Strand Larsen from Wolves as well that were talked about a few days ago. There was reports coming out from his native country last night that there is a valuation gap of just £5 million. Newcastle and Wolves are close to agreeing a fee for the forward. However, UK reports are stating, like Ben Jacobs, that he's not for sale. No matter what the price is, Wolves don't care. They don't want to sell. They only signed him this summer on a permanent from Celtic Vigo for, what was it, 25, 28 million? So would they be tempted if he whacked in a 60 mil offer and doubled the money? Maybe, but according to them, he's not for sale at any cost. They don't want to lose their star striker after losing their star player this summer in Cunha. After losing their star player this summer in Matheus Cunha, they don't want to lose another player. Their manager wouldn't be happy with that. And the main thing is they haven't got time to replace him. With only a week or so left of the window, there isn't enough time for Wolves to really go out there and get a striker, because, just like Newcastle, you'll get found out on the transfer fee. You'll get upped the price on every single player once they know you got a bit of cash there. Wolves get 60 million for Larsen. Then whoever they look to replace him, they're going to add on some tax for that. So yeah, it's a bit of a sticky situation on the striker search, for a change. But we'll see how things develop. Make sure you smash the like on this one, people. Drop your comments below. We'll be back soon for another video. Looking forward to Monday night already, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of transfer talk over the weekend. Nice one, everyone. Thanks for watching. See yous on the next one.